Happening now on News 12 The Bronx, thousands from our borough and around the city gathering today to pay their final respects to Lisandro Jr. Guzman Feliz, the 15-year-old boy stabbed to death in Belmont last week. This as support continues to pour in around the country. People calling for justice for Jr. How the community is reacting today as 8 suspected gang members are now off the streets and facing charges in his death. And another teen is fighting for his life today, the victim of a similar stabbing. How investigators now think these two cases are connected, and the latest on the NYPD's effort to bust gangs here in the Bronx.
And we had a nice and cool start to the day today, but the muggy-meter is showing humid conditions. Does it get worse, and when is the rain coming? I have all the answers to that coming up in just a couple of minutes.
Well, hundreds of community members are mourning the death of slain teenager Lisandro Jr. Guzman Feliz at Our Lady of Mount Carmel Church. And we're bringing you team coverage of today's events. We have Carmen Grant standing by, but first we want to get to News 12 The Bronx reporter Tori Singer. She is outside of the church on Belmont Avenue. She has the latest on this morning's services for us now. Tori.
Family, friends, even strangers heartbroken by Junior's death are embracing as they mourn his loss and celebrate the life that he chose to lead. Dozens of Junior's fellow NYPD explorers filed into Our Lady of Mount Carmel Church in silence to give the final salute to their friend. His family stood strong as crowds formed, patiently looking on while his body was carried inside.
He never had a bad day. He was always happy to come to the Explore program every single day, so I never seen him sad since I met him.
Junior is one who said no to the emptiness of street life and said yes to a future of hope and of progress.
The Mass echoes the importance of being there for Junior's family, continuing to push for justice after his murder and looking out for one another in the days ahead.
Today, again and again, we have gone through so many tragedies in this country and in the Bronx. I invite you to renew your commitment. It's a commitment as human beings and as Christians to protect the life of our people.
Violence is a substitute for purpose. Choose love. That's the message here. And as church members and churchgoers recall the life that Junior led, the positivity and the purpose he embraced, they're actually inviting the neighbors back this weekend to try to think of solutions to create safer streets so this tragedy doesn't repeat itself. In Belmont, Tori Singer, News 12, The Bronx, back to you.
All right, Tori, thank you so much. Now, Junior's story has touched not only the entire borough, but the entire nation. An innocent teenage victim who dreamed of being a police officer, instead targeted by an act of senseless violence in what sources say police are now investigating as a case of mistaken identity. Mourners coming out in droves to the area near the Belmont bodega where Junior's life was cut short last week, laying candles, flowers, and well wishes. That support continuing today. Our team coverage continuing now with News 12 The Bronx reporter Carmen Grant, who is outside St. Raymond Cemetery in Throgs Neck with more. Carmen.
That's right, Amanda. Family and friends saying their final goodbyes to Lisandro Guzman Feliz, his final resting place here at St. Raymond Cemetery. Now, this is video that we shot earlier. Crowds coming out to see his casket leave the Ortez Funeral Home. Feliz's father, as well as other members of the family, wearing baseball jerseys in honor of the 15-year-old who loved the New York Yankees. His mother being hugged by onlookers as she buries her youngest son, her baby. This tragedy has touched the hearts of many Bronxites. We spoke with Jefferson Polimo, who said he didn't know the family but felt that he had to be part of today's procession, reaching out to Feliz's mom to show his support.
I felt her pain so much that I had something to tell her, and when I told her, made her feel it, and she looked back at me and she told me, "Your family." That's all she told me, your family, to me.
Now, that's how many Bronxites say they feel like they're family to this tragedy, and they say that Junior will live in their hearts forever. Carmen Grant, News 12, The Bronx.
Carmen,
Amanda.
thank you. And so far, we know 8 men are facing charges in the brutal stabbing death of Lisandro Guzman Feliz. Those suspects, many seen in this disturbing surveillance video, allegedly attacking the boy with machetes, are all believed to have ties to the Trinitarios gang. Now, the NYPD says they have been watching and fighting the violent Dominican gang for years, and now they're cracking down. The most recent arrest coming yesterday, 23-year-old Elvin Garcia, now charged with murder, manslaughter, and criminal possession of a weapon. He stayed silent as our crews asked if he had anything to say to Junior's family. 19-year-old Kelvin Alvarez was arraigned in Bronx criminal court Monday night. He was met with loud jeers from a crowd of angry community members when he was walked out of the 48th precinct. 6 other suspects were apprehended in New Jersey. They will be arraigned in Bronx criminal court later today on murder, manslaughter, and gang assault charges. And News 12 The Bronx has covered this tragedy extensively. We will continue to bring you complete coverage as the investigation into this case continues. Now, to view that coverage, you can log on to our website, news12.com. Just click on the Justice for Junior banner. And meanwhile, investigators say another brutal stabbing of a teen in our borough might also be linked to Junior's tragic murder last week. Federal investigators blaming both incident on the Trinitarios gang, but police believe the motive behind the 2 cases might be linked as well. Police releasing this surveillance video from the brutal attack on a 14-year-old in the middle of the Bronx River Parkway. This was last Monday. Bronxites concerned about yet another case of disturbing gang violence.
I don't understand it. I don't understand why they're killing each other like that. It don't make no sense. They need to be in school and, you know what I'm saying, and getting an education or getting a trade or something instead of killing one another. I don't understand it. They need to stop it. It needs to stop.
These kids now, the generation now that we have is so like, I don't understand why they feel that they can take the law into their own hands.
And according to a federal complaint, the victim was stabbed 13 to 16 times and suffered puncture wounds to his lungs and kidney. He continues to fight for his life, and so far 1 man, Ramon Paulino, is charged with attempted murder, gang assault, and assault. Police still hoping to identify additional suspects in this case. And in light of the recent increase in gang violence around our borough, the NYPD is hosting an open meeting for the community to discuss gang awareness and what to do if there is gang violence in your neighborhood. That's happening at the Mount Carmel Senior Center on Southern Boulevard. That's tonight at 6 p.m. And also happening later today, community members will hold a vigil against violence near the scene of last week's deadly triple shooting in Castle Hill. The owner of the deli near where that shooting took place donating $5,000 to a campaign to make the Bronx a gang-free zone. So far, the campaign has a $25,000 goal. And an update to a case, police identifying the suspect wanted for the shooting deaths of those 3 people in Castle Hill. That man identified as 51-year-old Sam Cross. 2 men and a woman were shot dead in broad daylight back on the morning of June 21st near Randall Avenue. Police saying the men were the intended targets, the woman an innocent bystander. No arrests have been made. And police are also looking for a man wanted for committing lewd acts inside of the elevator of a building on East 176th Street. Cops say on June 15th, around 9:30 at night, the suspect got into an elevator with a 67-year-old woman. They say he then exposed his genitals and began to touch himself before leaving the elevator on the 6th floor. But of course, if you have any information that can help police, you are asked to give the Crime Stoppers hotline a call. The number for that, 1-800-577-TIPS. And keep that number in mind because police also need your help finding a missing man from our borough. A silver alert has been issued for Oscar Regalado. He is 69 years old. He was last seen leaving his home on Radcliffe Avenue in Allerton. That was around 1 in the afternoon on Monday. And if you know where he might be, please give police a call immediately.